Okay, good morning, everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Habayim. We continue in Mishna Berura Daf Hashavua. We're learning Hilchos Kriya Shema, Siman Samach Vav, Seif Ches. Siman Samach Vav, Seif Ches. Yesterday, we spoke out the Yitzhar of the Magen Avram, who wants to know what is better to do. Is it better to daven with a minyan without talis and tefillin, or wait till after and daven without a minyan with talis and tefillin? That was the shaila of the Magen Avram. Mendy brought up a shaila. Well, what if you're waiting by Shemana Esrei, so you already did not daven Shema with tefillin, and now it's a matter of just davening Shemana Esrei with tefillin. Is it better to daven Shemana Esrei with tefillin, or is it better to daven with a minyan? We brought out another shaila would be a Ben Eretz Yisrael who is davening on the second day Yom Tif in Chutz Haaretz, and he's wearing his tefillin. Should he daven b'yechidus with his tefillin, or should he daven with a minyan without his tefillin? Okay, so we're in the middle of Sif Ches, and in the Mechaber in Sif Ches, the Mechaber said that you have to be Samach Gula Tefillah, and don't be mafsik after Goal Yisrael. Just if an oinus happens that he didn't put on tefillin, and the tefillin came your way, bein Gula L'Tefillah, then you put on tefillin then, but you don't make a bracha until after you daven. But a talis you do not put on. The im ad shaloi amar gal Yisrael nizdamnu loy talis utfilin. But if a talis and tefillin came your way before you said the words gal Yisrael, manichem, you put them on. V'lo yivarach aleim, you don't make a bracha ad achar tefillah until after davening. Yesterday we saw that the Mishna Berura said that in between Gulal and Tefillah, you put on tefillin, you don't make a bracha until after you daven. The Mechaber said that the reason you don't put on talis is because you're going to have to stand b'shtika, wrapped in the talis before you start Shemoneh Esrei, and it's going to delay you. In other words, the shtika itself will be a hefsek. Okay, the Mishna Berura says in Sivkatim Memhei, she'ein hanachat tefillin levishas talis hefsek. We're putting on tefillin and putting on a talis will not be considered a hefsek at that point. Sharei afilu yachal likrois, because even if you could read v'lasik b'malachtai and be oisek in your malacha ba'oid shehu kairei ukil el b'simin samach gimel sefhei, because you could read and be oisek in malacha while you're being kairei, like we said earlier. So here the Mechaber is saying that you put on the talis, you put on the tefillin, because wearing the talis and tefillin, putting it on, is not a hefsek. What does Mishna Berura mean? Sha'afilu yachal likrois v'lasik b'malachdai ba'oid shehu kairei. You could even read what while you're reading what? I mean, we know you're allowed to do malacha while you're saying the Kriya Shema. But what does it mean? Afilu yachal likrois v'lasik b'malachdai ba'oid shehu kairei. Okay, comes the Rama. The Rama says, "V'yesh oimrim shekoidem gal Yisrael yivarich ala tefillin b'chinag." Some say before gal Yisrael you make the bracha on tefillin, and that's the minhag. Says the Mishna Berura, shekoidem gal Yisrael, Ratzalom koidem she'amar baruch atah Hashem. After you say the words baruch atah Hashem, the la'achar mikan. After you say the words gal Yisrael, b'vadei asa lahafsik b'shum davar. After you say the words baruch atah Hashem, you can't be mafsik for anything. Ela yisayim gal Yisrael v'yanech tefillin b'loi bracha. Yivarech, you make a bracha. Nira pasha dekan asr loy mar baruch shem kavod If you're going to say before Baruch Atah Hashem Gal Yisrael, you're going to make a bracha on the tefillin, you do not say Baruch Shem, which we ordinarily say Baruch Shem after you say the bracha of Al Mitzvah tefillin, because at this point in time you really can't be mafsik. Gam nachon shalei varich bazeh ki em bracha achas laniach. It's also correct not to make a bracha at this time, only the bracha of lahaniach. The belav hachi harbe poskim servim kain b'chanal b'simin chavav ayin sham. You ready for this whopper of a chiddush? Says the Mishna Berura, when you're making a bracha on tefillin and berachas Kriya Shema, you do not make an al mitzvah tefillin. Do not make the bracha of al mitzvah tefillin. Why? Because many poskim say b'chlal you don't make that. You never make that bracha. So in this case, where it's an issue of hefsek, you leave it out. V'hachi nog. That's minhag mucham derachvarim dahachi kaimelan. It's muchach from the achronim that we paskin that in fact you do make a bracha on tefillin in the berachas Kriya Shema. So even though the Mechaber said that between Gula L'Tfila you put on tefillin and you don't put on a talis, and in between Gal Yisrael and Shemona Esrei you put on tefillin, you don't put on a talis, and in Birchas Kriya Shema you before Gal Yisrael you could put on a talis as well, but you don't make a bracha on the tefillin. The halacha is that you do make a bracha on tefillin, but only one bracha. You make the bracha of lahaniach. When the Mechaber started off, he said you have to be soimech gula latfila and not be mafsek after Gal Yisrael, only if you had extenuating circumstances that you didn't put on tefillin. Okay, so that's the halacha l'maisa. Sif tes ein la'anois kaddish u'kedusha ben gula latfila. You do not answer kaddish and kedusha between gula latfila. B'ketzad oisa, what should you do? Mamtin b'shir chadasha k'dei la'anois. You wait by shir chadasha in order to answer. Says the Mishna Berura u'kedusha v'chein baruchu u'moidim v'yer l'tzamtzim sheyichra b'tchilas hatfila. Try to schedule the beginning of your Shemona Esrei to bow at the time that the Chazan is up to his Moedim, rather than have to be mafsik. You're now to be mafsik and answer Kaddish and Kedusha between Gula Tefillah. Yesh me achreinim shekasu. Some achreinim right. Dal Yarabba, the Dar Chachayim. Some achronim right, the b'Shabbos mutar lanos kaddish kedusha. Then on Shabbos you're allowed to answer kaddish and kedusha b'chol hani shadoimin lahem, or any similar responses of kedusha haniskarim le'el b'sif gimel ben gula l'tfila b'ayin lekaman b'simin kuf yud aleph. Where the Bir Halacha comes out that you could use and be mitzaref those who hold that it's mutter to answer Dam Shabbat Kedusha even b'chayil. Therefore, bottom line is on Shabbos, you're allowed to answer Amen Yehishmei Rabbah, Kedusha, and Baruch Hu between Gula L'Tfilah. However, if you come to Shul late on Shabbos and the Tzibor's davening Shemona Esrei, so you would think, okay, I don't have to be Sama Gula L'Tfilah, I'll do what I do by Mariv and start Shemona Esrei with the Tzibor. No, you're not allowed to do that, right? You know the halacha is that if you come late to Shacharis, you can't just start Shemona Esrei with the Tzibor because you have to say Berachas Kriya Shema. If you come late and you have to be Samech Gula Tefillah, if you come late to Mariv, so you start Shemona Esrei with the Tzibor and then you say Berachas Kriya Shema. You have to be Samech Gula Tefillah. By Mariv, it's not really that chamor. What about on Shabbos? On Shabbos, where we say you're allowed to answer Dvarim Shabbat Kedusha, but you still l'chadchila have to be Samech Gula Tefillah, and therefore you don't start Shemona Esrei with the Tzibor. Why would Shabbos be any different than during the week in terms of being Samech Gula L'Tfilah? Because the source of being Samech Gula L'Tfilah is, it says, Yiu l'ratzoin imrei fi v'hagyon li bi l'fanecha Hashem tzuri v'gayali Yancha Hashem b'yom tzara. So tzuri v'gayali is Geula, Yancha Hashem b'yom tzara is Tfilah. But it's only b'yom tzara. But on Shabbos, is not a young Sarah, so you don't have to be Samagula Tefillah. However, the Ramah says that on Yom Tif, which is a young Sarah, because all the Yomim Tovim are Yimei Hadin, this allowance to answer Dharm Shabakdusha between Gula Tefillah does not apply to Yom Tif. It only applies to Shabbos. Okay. Let us
Is there
move
any
on.
Indian of Gula Tefillah on Shabbos?
What?
Is there any Indian of Gula Tefillah on Shabbos?
Yeah.
Is there any Indian of Gula Tefillah on
Absolutely.
Shabbos?
There's a full Inyan. There's a full Inyan.
And what is this? But
It's
you're allowed to. But
only
you're allowed to not
Legabe
say?
Dvarim Shabakdusha that we say you're allowed to answer. Meaning there's an Inyan, it's just not as Chamar. The Rashi in Brachos gives another reason to be Samagula Tefillah. Rashi says it's like someone who bangs on the door, an ani who bangs on the door, and then when the Oisher comes out, the ani doesn't ask for anything. So when you say Goal Yisrael, it's like you're banging on the door. You're saying, Hashem, remember what you did in the past? So you better be ready to make a bakasha. Now, even according to that reason, it might not apply on Shabbos, because on Shabbos we don't make bakashas. But the bottom line is, we do say there's an Indian of being Samagul Tefillah on Shabbos, regarding that you don't just start Shemana Esrei with the tzibur like at a Mariv, but regarding answering Dhamma Shabbat we're making. Okay, you're weiter. Sivkata non aleph. V'keitzad oisa. What should you do? If you didn't yet hear Kedusha or Baruchu. By the way, but if you didn't hear it, but you know you'll hear it later, you don't have to wait. Mamtin b'shir chadasha la'achar she'amar oisei fela. After you say the words oisei fela. V'chol zeh l'chatchila. Avdiyaved kol shloi amar baruch atah Hashem. This is all chadchila, you should wait at shir chadasha. But as long as you didn't say baruch atah Hashem, yachal la'nois, you can answer. Ul'achar kein tzarich lahaschal meiroish shir chadasha. Wow, this is a whopper. If you got up to baruch atah Hashem, let's say you said, Tzor Yisrael, Kuma Biazas Yisrael, Dechma Yehuda Yisrael, Galeno Hashem Tzvakos, Shema Kadosh Yisrael. And then you hear Baruch Hu, and you said Baruch Hu Hashem and Bayrach, you have to go back to Shir Chadasha. Al Kapanim, at least from Tzor Yisrael, to Haschalas Inyan Ke'enma, Shekazam Magen Avram, B'Sivkatan Gimel, similar to what the Magen Avram writes in Sivkatan Gimel, V'gam Haloi Tzarech Leimar, Me'en HaChasima, Samach LaChasim Al-Chachila. And besides that, you need to say something similar to the conclusion of a bracha in proximity to the conclusion of the bracha. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna go. Let's finish Siman Samach Vav. Okay. Anyone who did not say Emes v'yatzav in the morning or Emes v'amun in the night is not yotzi his chiyuv of Kriya Shema properly. Haga mishu anos, one who had extenuating circumstances, v'dachak, and he was pressed, ve'ein lo pnai lehispalel miyad achar Kriya Shema, and he didn't have time to say the tefillos right after Kriya Shema. Yikra Kriya Shema. He doesn't. If someone does not have time to say these tefillos, Yikra Kriya Shema, he should say Shema ad Emes. V'yamtin loimer shahar brachos ad sheyispalel, and then he should wait to say the rest of the brachos until he davesh Shemona Esrei. She'oz yoimer v'yatzim v'nachayin v'yispalel kedei sheyismach gula l'tefillah. So even though anyone who doesn't say Emes v'yatziv, Emes v'amuna, lo yatzidei chavas hamitzvah, someone who's an oinus and he doesn't have time to say the tefillos after Shema, he should say Shema until Emes, and not say Emes v'yatziv until later when he davens Shemona Esrei. Okay, says Mishna Berura. Kisikuna avol loish lo yatsa klal yedei kriya Shema. It's not that he's not yotzei Shema at all. The kaimlan the brachos and makvos the kriya Shema. We paskin brachos are not makiv kriya Shema. Elo shal yedei zeh kriya Shema shaloi gam kin einenu karai. It's just that his kriya Shema is not proper. V'yachsar al koponim la'amra achar tefillah im lo yamara koydem tefillah. He should go back and say after the davening, if he didn't say it before the davening? What should he say after the davening? L'chor, he should say Emes v'yatziv. Meaning, if somebody left out Emes v'yatziv, Emes v'amuna, and he davened Shemona Esrei, he should go back to say it again. Ukilal b'siman salas of beis. The toiv sheyomer oida pam kriya Shema. And when you do that, you should say Shema again. So the question is, why should you say Shema again? We know the halacha is that if somebody read Shema without the brachos before davening, when they daven, they say Shema again. Kedei lamoid b'tfila mitoich divrei Torah. But here, where you already davened, why should you say Shema again? It seems like there's still an inyan of saying Shema. Why? Because since you are not yotzei kriya Shema kisikuna, it seems like there's still an inyan the Chida brings down. Kasav Tur b'shem hayushalmi. The Tur says in the name of the Yushalmi. Maybe we'll just do until Sivkatan Nun Daled, and then we'll finish this up tomorrow. The Tur brings in the name of Yushalmi, this is very important. Sarach lahaskir be'emes v'yatziv Yitzias Mitzrayim. In Emes v'yatziv, you have to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim. Because by saying Emes v'yatziv, you're yotzei the mitzvah of Zechiras Yitzias Mitzrayim. So when you say Mi Mitzrayim Ga'altanu, Umalchus, you have to mention the Malchus of Hashem. Ukriyas Yamsuf. You have to mention the splitting of the sea. Umakas b'chayros, Ayin Sham. Umashma barajba brachas yiralfteli kuvahu afilu diyavet. From the Rajba, it's mashma that it's ma'akev even b'diyavet. So this is very important, by the way. When you're davening shachris and you're saying emes v'yatziv, you need to be aware that there are a few key ideas that have to be mentioned in Emes v'yatziv. Number one, you have to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim. So where is that mentioned? Mi Mitzrayim Ga'altanu. Okay? You have to mention Malchus. Where do you mention Malchus? You say, Malkeinu Melech Avoseinu. That's also a key phrase. Or, Umi Baladecha in Lanu Melech. You have to mention Makas B'chayres, Kol B'charem Harakta. You have to mention Kriyas Yamsuf. Yeah? I'm reading from my Siddur Liyamais HaChayil. So you have to mention these four things. Yitzias Mitzrayim, Malchus, Kriyas Yamsuf, Makas B'chayres. Mash B'rajba, Delikuvahu Afilu B'diyaven. The tzarchiyim mibrachas yadadim abeis v'gemara v'albaylad kurei v'sharinulach. You have to mention, and he freed us. Ratzalamar micha meichat Seif habracha chaperish Rashi. The lefiza chaser makas b'chayros. What about the fact that you're missing makas b'chayros? V'doichek lechalek, meaning from the Gemara it's mashma that makas b'chayros is not ma'akev. It's doichek to mechag ben shachros la'arvis. Maybe they had a different nusach. B'soif shoy b'soicha gamkein sipur makas b'chayros. V'gam yushalmi brachas perak aleph halachavav mashik sasu rak lechatchila and shom tzarchi l'maisa. Im hechelef bracha shel shachar v'arvis olehepach. If you flipped around the morning for the night, or vice versa, ma'adayin lo yamar Hashem. If you didn't say Hashem's name yet, shel soif bracha yachsel tchilas bracha. V'im amar Hashem. You did say Hashem's name. Yisayim. You finish it. So you don't have to go back. All right, we'll finish. By popular demand, we'll finish till the end of the Siman. Okay? Ve'im loy pnai. Let's say you didn't have time. In other words, someone who's an anus and he doesn't have time, so he says Berchos Kriya Shema later when he davens Shemona Esrei. So the Mishna Berura Tzarchiyim v'chimi hiter loy lifsok mivnei shein loy pnai. Who allows him to be mafsik between Shema and the end of the brachos because he has no time? Elomi shein loy pnai yikra Kriya Shema levada beloy brachos. Someone who doesn't have time should just say Shema. V'achar kach k'shiyah loy pnai yikra Kriya Shema u'berchosav v'yispalo kilel b'sim samach sabez. Over Sefer Nar Shalom, Kasad the Kamakam Dinner Amahu Emes V'Nachain. Still, the Din Rama is true. Heicha Shekara Krishma. He already said Shema. He thought he would have time. And then something came up that he has to interrupt. And in this situation, it says the other futfei sheyavsik achar Hashem lekechem emes. Better to be mafsik after Hashem lekechem emes. V'achar kach kishiyavli l'spalel. Then when he comes to finish the davening yaschal v'yatziv. Aval heicha shiyadam eikara. But if he knew in the beginning that he wouldn't have time to say Shema to daven, v'yarei shema yavers my Krishna, he was afraid that my Krishna would pass. Ad shiyaloi pnai gam hu moidel l'magen Avram. Even the Ramah would agree to the Magen Avram. Sheyikar Krishma levadoi. He should just say Shema by itself. Uke'ein zeh teretz gam kein ha'prima gadim ayin sham. So the situation of the Ramah is not where the guy planned, oh, I only have X amount of time. I'll say the first brachos Krishma and Shema, and then I'll be mafsik there. If he knew that to begin with, the Ramah would agree, just say Shema, and you'll say all the brachos Krishma with Shema and Shema Esrei later. We're talking about where he thought he would have time, and then something came up. Okay, we'll hold over here. With your permission, we're going to do tomorrow, Samach Zayin, which means we'll be up to date, meaning we'll be an entire full week ahead. Next week, I'm away. Rabbi Yeager will give Shiurim on certain days. I'll post the schedule a bit later. Okay? Hatzlach Rabba. Have a great day. Kol Tov.
Sifkat and Memhe, the Rabbi wasn't sure what it meant. Shari,
Yeah.
I think Pshat is Shari Afilu Yachol Likrais Kriya Shema, the last like B'malachtai, and do we work at the same time? For example, Roichev al Chamar, Ba'oi Chukari, while he's still saying Shema, and that's not considered a hefsek. Certainly, putting on talis and tefillin is not considered a hefsek.
Why does he say you could both Likrois and Kari are going on Krishma?
Yeah, if the Rav looks back at Samach Gimel, that's exactly what it's talking about. Doing something during